Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass.
Hi everyone, welcome to another video on the JayBee
Hello.
and Milly channel. We are, as always, joined by Rhianna.
Hello!
So, this is kind of a bit of an ad hoc Scooby-Doo Smash or Pass review in that today, as of recording, and hopefully we're going to get this out really soon as well, Mystery Incorporated was released on YouTube, and this is a live-action series that is kind of, you know, based on Scooby characters, and as we're about to find out as well, some really cool Scooby references and themes and other characters as well. So I guess because it only came out today, obviously gonna put a little bit of a spoiler warning at the start of this and also add a little bit of context as well.
But we can leave the actual episode in the description.
Yeah, the actual episode itself will be in the description if you want to go check that out. And it seems that they've released one episode and it's almost like they've got to wait to get funding or support for a second one, it appears. Did you say, JayBee?
It looks like it, because from the link tree, the official link tree, there's link to episode 1 and then Indiegogo for episode 2. So I think that's how it's working, but I don't know.
Okay, so we're gonna have a quick chat about this and see if episode 2 would be something that we want. So starting off with casting, and as always, we know JayBee likes to speak, so Daphne, tell us your thoughts.
So I guess, see, this is so weird because it's almost like we're not just reviewing a Scooby thing, it's almost like we're critiquing another Scooby creator's stuff, so I kind of feel like we have to shout people out a bit more. But all the cast members' socials will be linked in the description as well. So Daphne is played by Jessica Chancellor, and I thought that they were amazing, like probably my favourite of all time, like in the series, because what I love about it is that they were almost taking a leaf from both the Daphne and Velma book by Morgan Baden, but also the Mystery Incorporated animated series, in that they obviously, you know, did like the motions of, oh, Daphne is the rich girl, she's got rich parents or whatever, but also you can kind of see a bit of a toxic side to that as well, where her mum's like, this is the expectations you have, you're a Blake, you need to live up to this, and you can't have carbohydrates, and it's so, I don't know, I really like it. I think the only thing I would have preferred is maybe a few of Daphne's siblings to contrast it with, like maybe she's the one that's been treated lesser or something, just to kind of add a bit more character dynamic there, but what we get is ultimately really, really good, and I think she looks the part, and the wardrobe, oh, it's amazing, because we spoke about the Mystery Begins movie last, and one of my main issues with Daphne there is for some reason they decided to dress her a bit weirdly, but in here, they're all on point, so
I mean, you were talking about even the D necklace was a very, like, gala representation of Daphne thing to do.
Yeah, because I think she either had a D necklace herself, I think she did, but also she had, you know, in the jumpsuit at the end of the 2002 film, she had like a D belt. So I thought it was very, very on brand for live action Daphne. And I'm kind of just like, can we, like, instead of faffing around with episodes and stuff, at this point with these people, Warner Brothers should just fund it, I think, because this is just, I'm probably giving it all away. I'm like kind of blowing my entire like opinion in one lot, but you know, I guess Daphne just does that to me.
So Rhianna, what did you think to the Daphne?
I really liked her. Gosh, this is... Okay, I just want to say that, to make this clear to everyone, I was really... This is going to sound so selfish, and I hate the fact I'm saying this. I was hoping it would be like something that I'd be like, yeah, it was okay. Yeah, no, sure. Let's just continue, you know, I'll watch it occasionally and everything. And now that I've watched it, I'm like, I hate that I love everything so much, because it's just like the casting. Daphne was so good, and I felt so sorry for her because, you know, they get the portrayal that she is, you know, even though she's comes from a rich family, well known in Coolsville, she's also like there as, you know, she wants everyone to be happy. She's torn because she wants to do the right thing, but she also wants to make sure her parents are proud of her. And it's so Like, oh, I really like it.
The only thing I didn't
And
like about the Daphne is that they weren't with Fred, because I was expecting them to be, because the Daphne actress and the Fred actor are together in real life, and so that's what I was expecting. But then, of course, it's going to progress to that, I think.
Yeah, I think you can see already
Yeah.
from eye contact and things that there is going to be that progression there.
And I do like the fact that they've done that, because it means that instead of it just jumping into being, oh, popular girl, popular boy, it's popular girl with not so popular boy, but surely he should be more popular, but it's obvious he doesn't really fit in with everyone's expectations as such.
And I really like that, because I think Fred's expectations are always something that's up for debate, because Robbie Amell's was a lot more kind of sporty, part of the team kind of thing with like everyone else at school. Freddie Prinze Jr.'s adaptation was very kind of social butterfly, can speak with anyone. More animated Fred's very almost unsociable, kind of like it's all about the traps kind of thing.
But I guess sticking to Daphne for the moment, I guess negatives. Does anyone have any negatives? I guess I mentioned mine, but mine's more kind of impatience than an actual problem with the episode.
No, I don't think I really have any negatives to add. I think they're a really good character. The character that I'm most looking forward to speaking about right now is Velma, because everybody who's seen Smash or Pass will know that I'm a little bit judgmental when it comes to Velma. It tends to have either been done really well or really badly, and I don't feel like there's much of an in-between. I personally really, really like this Velma. I think they've got the look for Velma really well. I think they've kind of understood Velma really well. They translate that through the story of them kind of refusing to admit that there's that ghosts are real and that kind of thing, and then Fred's character really fuels that kind of almost pushing her to try these spells and stuff to see if it's real. If she doesn't believe, then surely it can't do any harm, and I feel like that's really interesting. I think something that we picked up with Linda Cardellini's interpretation of Velma was perhaps there was something that they felt towards Fred, and I feel like that's something else that's explored a little bit. And I don't know, like, I do really like this. I think they got the look of them really well also. The outfit fit perfectly. So yeah, I again don't have anything bad. Can you believe this? I don't have anything bad to say about Velma.
Serious, like I mean, this episode, it's broken us, Milly.
It has.
I mean, I guess the due diligence. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I am really sorry, but it's Dayeanne Hutton. And I thought that they were really cool. The only thing I didn't kind of like is that they were almost too good as Velma, if that makes sense. So I could see Warner Brothers hiring this Velma professionally, and I think that would work incredibly well. But because of this, it's definitely not Scooby. It's more grounded Scooby. It's a Scooby that I would die for, because this is like, from being a fan of the 2002 film, having grown up, this is the TV show that I wish like was actually being made, which it is, but like here's season 1 dropping, and then they're going to re-announce the season 2, you know what I mean, and we don't need to go through the process of funding it because it's already been funded by a studio. But the Velma was almost too good in that I don't really see her fitting with the rest of the characters, because she was very animated, a bit like we mentioned Haley with her facial expressions. I was kind of getting a bit of that, but ultimately I think they nail the character of Velma perfectly, but I'm just not sure how it will fit in with the gang dynamic when we get to that. But I really do like them. I think there's not really a negative I've got about this Velma, in fact, apart from maybe she does it too well.
So moving over to Rhianna, who is our Velma expert, what did you think?
Again, I hate that it was so good. I'm usually the one who's always like, I'm up for anything, but this series I was so apprehensive for some reason, and I was like, I wasn't sure about the castings, how they would portray them, all of that, because Scooby means so much, and like, I'll admit, playing Velma in a live action is my dream, but I just love her. She did such a good job. Like,
They did.
The costumes, everything, and I'm like bouncing up and down because it was so good. She even got the voice. She mixed. I feel
Yeah.
like a mixture of all of them. Like she had a bit of Kate McCucci at the beginning,
Ooh.
but then she went to like a Mindy Cohn. She went through EJ Ward. Everything. Like I love her.
So
I want to be her.
something that I want to speak about, moving away from Velma, which is perhaps a slightly different tone to the conversation,
Oh no.
and that's Shaggy. So I think Shaggy is the most difficult role to get right
Oh, this
because
is Chris Villain.
not only do they need to be a great actor for Shaggy, but they also need to bring Scooby to life as well, which is where it becomes quite difficult. And we've seen some great Shaggys with Matthew Lillard, Nick Pilates, or Pilates, I don't know how to pronounce the name, I'm so sorry, JayBee always corrects me. And so we know from them too that it's a really difficult role, but it can be done right. And I think that with this, I feel like I don't just want to see them for one episode. I want to see more of them to allow it to elaborate, because I always said that reading the Daphne and Velma books, that actually was my favourite interpretation of Shaggy. And I feel like that's the one that they're trying to recreate, the Shaggy that kind of hosts parties and things like that. And that's very much the Daphne and Velma book vibe. And so I know it has the potential to recreate what in theory is my favourite adaptation of Shaggy. It's just I've not seen that yet.
I just hope that, and this is the part that kind of breaks my heart about this whole thing, is that I feel like they've made something very interesting with Shaggy, and even the whole series in general, but because the majority, or at least the vocal majority, of the Scooby community are kind of just vanilla purists that probably won't even like that there's even a hint to say stuff like drugs in this show or anything.
I mean, there was more than a hint.
Well, yeah, but like, even if there was just a
Actually.
hint, like, there's going to be so many people that are just going to cry and like roll around on the floor, like cuddling the Bible because it's like too extreme. And
This isn't the PG Scooby-Doo. If you want PG Scooby-Doo, then this isn't going to be it. Like, we've seen already, there was more than subtle drug references and stuff. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I really am. Like, make Shaggy's character what you want to make Shaggy's character. Make it your interpretation. That's what they were doing here. I just think that to judge Shaggy's character, I need to see more than one episode.
But it's lovely because I think that the biggest almost success that the gang has at the moment is that they've all, well, apart from Fred, unfortunately, at the moment, they've all got parents that we can see, or a parent, because I think that's very telling of them. And again, I do just reminisce about Mystery Incorporated, the animation, quite a lot, in that through Shaggy being this rebellious character, you can kind of almost see a conflict coming into play with their dad being the opposite of that, like law enforcement.
Not only that, like I said, the way that, you know, Shaggy was adapted in the Daphne and Velma books, their mum was one of the sheriffs then. And so it kind of does call back to these books, and I'm almost getting to see a translation to the screen of what I really wanted to see. And so Shaggy's character is one that I am excited about. I'm just not 100% there with yet.
The only thing I'm a bit confused about is that it was Coolsville and not Crystal Cove, which is very strange for me to say. But I've just become so used to Crystal Cove at the moment that it was kind of nice to be back in Coolsville.
It was nice. And I think if you consider the age of the cast, and they seem to very much have written it and done all that kind of thing, to them, Scooby is going to be Coolsville. It is to me. Crystal Cove was the secondary, so I guess it makes sense. Rhianna, what did you think to Shaggy?
I am very much like you, Millie. I need to see him progress a bit more because we didn't really see him much, if that makes sense. Like, we saw him, but we didn't get to know him like we did the others. So he's still a very closed door, which I love because it means character progression. And there's so much within Shaggy that could happen. I mean, we've got like the drug references. Like, I'm a huge Scooby fan and I like the original, but I'm all for this because it's like it's so cool to see. And Shaggy is how in reality potentially Norville Rogers would be. And I think it's just really the actor. I'm so sorry I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He did such a great job.
It's Chris Villain.
Thank you, Chris Villain. Like, I think he's one in this series where we would see him progress and become into like Shaggy and who Shaggy really is, because we just saw him as the kid who gets bullied into getting the drugs kind of thing, which is kind of sad when you look at it, because that is how sometimes things are. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how he takes it on, because there were small things that I liked, but I need to see him progress a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think they've very much set it up that he's going to start off as, like you say, this kind of meek character that can be pushed into just going and getting the drugs for people and stuff like that. But you can see that they're going to develop, and that they have this kind of anonymous personality, and no one knows who they are, and they're going to flourish as Shaggy. And I'm excited to see it. I really am.
Sorry.
I'm going to stick with Rhianna for my next question. What did you think to Scooby?
Scooby! First of all, I don't think he's castrated. There was a yeah. I wasn't looking.
What? I did not expect that.
I wasn't looking. It was just when he jumped up onto the bed. There was, yeah. Anyway.
Jesus.
We could see little Scooby puppies. A pup named Scooby-Doo. Sorry. Oh, what if Crystal and Amber come later on, and we do see little Scooby puppies? Sorry. It's completely off topic, but he's so cute. I want a Great Dane. I want Scooby. His name is Thor. Thor is the cutest. Oh my gosh!
I don't know about Thor, but I was certainly seeing a Captain America in this.
Thor one.
Yeah. Oh my god.
No,
Milly,
please.
okay.
Oh god.
When we get on to Fred, can I introduce Fred, because there's something funny that Milly and I did.
JayBee, before we move on to Captain America, what did you think of Scooby?
Well, I gotta say, I didn't notice what Rhianna noticed. I just kind of thought it was cute, and again, I think a lot of purists are gonna be like, "Oh, Scooby doesn't talk, where," but it's kind of, but it's like, come on, it's a different take at the end of the day. It's a different interpretation. If everyone did the same interpretation of Scooby, it would have died back in 1969.
Yeah, no one was crying when the Lego adaptations came out of stuff.
Yeah. Well, we can discuss that. We can discuss that later. But yeah, the dog was cute. I think it gives Chris Villain less to do when the dog doesn't talk, because they can only just talk to nothing, really. They're not going to get a reply, but it was endearing to hear him say that talking to Scooby calmed him down. You got that kind of friendship vibe, and honestly, I think the dog is just so cute, and I would love to get a dog like that, and I think I might one day. So yeah, I guess Thor, big win.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of would contrast what JayBee was saying slightly. I wouldn't say it made it less for Shaggy's character. I'd say, if anything, it made it more, because if you take, for example, 2002, you had the emotion in Neil Fanning's voice as Scooby to go alongside Matthew Lillard and almost build that relationship together, whereas now it's completely on Shaggy to build both characters and the relationship of their connection.
Do you reckon Neil Fanning Scooby was castrated?
JayBee, let's move on.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe just move on, okay? Don't get hung up on things. So, as Rhianna said, when we were, in regards to Fred's character, when we were watching this, I think we had a similar thought. So I was watching it with JayBee, Rhianna was watching it at home, and I just looked down at my phone and I had a message from Rhianna. What was it, Rhianna?
It was oh, hang on. I think it was like something like, I didn't know Captain America was. I didn't know Steve Rogers was in this.
Yeah,
Or something like that.
Literally 10 seconds before I got that message from you, I turned around to JayBee and was like, "Have you seen Captain America?" And and he was like, "Yeah, okay, I see it."
Like,
but not only that, have you seen Daredevil? Not Daredevil, Jessica Jones.
Yes.
What's the character called, JayBee, that I said he looked like?
What, Simpson?
Yes. I don't know if you see that, but for me, it's like if Simpson and Captain America had a child that aged very well.
See, how I saw it was that pre-serum and after serum Steve Rogers merged perfectly together.
Yeah, I'm sorry, JayBee's on the basis. I'm not agreeing with anything.
Well,
It was certainly a different adaptation of Fred. I think it was interesting because I think they tried to do the high school popular Fred that we saw they tried to do with Robbie Amell as well, where it's kind of like, this is the sporty jock, woo! Whereas with this Fred, I think they've tried to develop it a little bit more in that they've not just made them the sporty jock, they've tried to kind of give them a bit of depth as well, like the struggle. Also, I think it's quite humbling that they've paired them with Velma's character initially as well, because I think, you know, like the man of substance, he has to argue that because he's just gravitated towards Daphne this entire time, whereas with this character, they've started them off with Velma, they're kind of building up that there's more to them. And so character development wise, I see it going quite well. I don't think it's a bad adaptation of Fred. I'm kind of happy that they went with, this is going to sound stupid because I wouldn't have said this for Mel, but like I'm kind of happy that they went with a blonde Fred as well. Kind of true to form a little bit more.
I mean, yeah, so this is Dade Elza, and I really like them. I'd say that I prefer their adaptation so far, at least, to Robbie Amell.
Agreed.
I think it's more true to form than Freddie Prinze Jr., although, you know, I think I've seen a lot more Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred than Dade, so hopefully, fingers crossed, episode 2 is made and I can make more of an informed decision. The only thing I didn't like about this Fred is that I almost feel like there was more story to tell in episode 1. Like, we get that he is a very sporty guy, but then all the other sporty guys are kind of the popular ones and he isn't.
Why aren't they exactly?
Yeah, and there is a way that they could have explained it. It just would have required a bit of a time jump, but it would have served the story better, I think, if it was like, oh, so after Fred's parents died, he may have become so obsessed with getting to the bottom of it, or maybe he was the one that resorted into something. Again, it's a bit of an older series, say maybe drinking or skiving school to try and deal and cope with what he witnessed.
Or even like...
And so, yeah, he became distant from his friendship group that used to be the popular ones that now resent him because maybe they lost a sports game because he was out of it or he wasn't there.
Or even, and this is encouraging kind of negativity that really doesn't tend to appear in Scooby, but they've gone to Velma for advice. You could imagine if kind of that friendship group saw them gravitating towards Velma, they'd have had an issue there as well.
So I think that that's the only thing, because it's kind of from a situation where he would be popular in school, right? He definitely would be, but he's getting bullied, and it's kind of like there is a reason that he would have been, but it doesn't really explain it. There's not really a reason why he's not in that group, but that's the only thing really, and probably they could explain that in, you know, future episodes. But just based on episode 1, that's the only thing I didn't like about Fred. But like, you've got
the Captain America vibes too, right?
Yeah, not to your extent, but I saw it. But I just love how he's going out with the Daphne in this, because you can see the chemistry. Like
you're hoping to get your next like gala and prince and get married.
I really am. I hope that they get married, and they look so good together, and you could almost feel like when they were like walking past each other, looking at each other, like that isn't just acting. Like you could see it in their eyes, like
you're getting that excited. You just dropped something on the floor.
I just dropped my phone, but like I'm being honest, like you could see like the love and the.
When we walk past each other, you can see the hatred, can't you, JayBee?
It's just this to me, because, and I think if they weren't together, maybe I wouldn't be so excited. But I think Daphne and Fred belong together. And the fact that it's another couple playing them is just, oh, I love it. Yeah, I love it so much. So please never break up, you two, because you're amazing. Both of you are amazing. And that's what I'll say about that.
Okay, so that is the cast discussed, and I do want to keep this quite brief because honestly, otherwise this is going to end up getting longer than the episode itself. But I quickly want to talk a little bit about...
I have a structure to propose if you'll hear me out. But
okay, let's go.
I guess we could all go through 3 things that we love in the episode and 3 things that we didn't like in the episode, or 3 things that we could improve upon, or 3 questions we have. So say 3 positives, 3 questions, or 3 speculations, maybe.
Okay, so I would kind of like to give it more structure in terms of progression
We'll
of
do
the
that.
episode, if that's okay. You know how we would do for a normal Smash or
I'll
Pass.
follow your lead.
Ultimately, like we say, you start off with each of them in their homes, you get some kind of general context of what's going on. The mystery already starts off quite dark in that we see Fred's parents have actively been killed at this stage, and instantly for Scooby, that's like Scooby natural, like, what? Death in Scooby? We don't see this. So for me, it's like, okay, live action Scooby natural, maybe? Kind of seeing that vibe. And also we see their families as well, which I think we've touched on quite a lot. Like JayBee was saying, Daphne's mum's quite overbearing, like, this is how you need to be, look, act, what you can eat. I wanted to meet Daphne's dad, because in Daphne and Velma, they have a really nice relationship with the dad, and I feel like they could almost soften that harshness and kind of show why Daphne's more the heart of Scooby, maybe? Because she's like the heart of the gang and the people person, so you'd think that perhaps that kind of positive influence would be nice to see.
Or maybe it's bad. Maybe it's a bad influence and she's motivated to kind of stray away from that. Who knows? I mean, there's just so much you can do with these characters. Because so many people that we've interviewed, like Craig Titley and all of that, they've kind of pointed out the absolute absurdity. Like, why would all these people be friends? There's absolutely no reason for them to, at the end of the day. But into a series like this, you can almost explore how their childhoods and how they were raised could have influenced them, and they've probably all got something in common. Like, you could imagine Daphne probably bonding with Velma over, you know, how her mum's kind of nasty to her about the carbs, and how Velma's mum just like passes out, and I don't know, it's just, I like it. I like it an awful lot.
Yeah, so you mentioned Velma's mum there, and Velma's mum, so Velma's just lost her dad, ultimately to the same kind of demons that it looks like Fred has, and their mum's not taken that well, so we see her mum, most of the time we see her mum, she's got a bottle of what looks like Jack Daniels in her hand or something, or like cuddled up to her. I never thought we'd see that side of anyone related to Velma.
No.
Just because Velma's so headstrong, so sure of everything, so like, just Velma's so together, unless you've seen Return to Zombie Island, and that's a different situation entirely. And so I guess I'd always think that I've always thought that maybe Velma would have an issue with drinking because it'd almost cloud her logic. It can alter perspective, things like that, and because it kind of contradicts natural brain function and stuff like that, I always just never put Velma and alcohol together. So to see Velma's mum there kind of passed out, I was a bit like,
I mean, are we taking it like
never thought I'd see
her
that.
mum's drinking was stemmed from what happened to her husband? Or
I
do we
guess
think
so,
maybe
yeah.
it was long term? Because I was almost thinking if that had been a consistent problem, maybe exacerbated by what happened to her husband, it could have been that Velma, like growing up in that type of environment, would have been so like desperate to cling on to something that she then went into the realm of facts and numbers, because that's something that she can always rely on. Maybe I think that would be a good way to do that. But
it's just something I've never thought about, and it just seemed quite not what I was expecting. But all this episode wasn't what I was expecting. It's almost new territory for Scooby, and I'm excited to see more of it.
My ideal Velma for something like this would be pretty much a spin on the BBC Sherlock show with Benedict Cumberbatch, in that you see that he's so clever that he almost drives himself a bit crazy, and you see him in that show, he's always having like his cigarette patches, he struggles with like drug addiction, so I don't know, I don't want that to happen to Velma, obviously, because I think it doesn't need to go there, but definitely I think she'd get frustrated because he might feel a bit superior to people intellectually.
You mentioned drugs again there. One thing about this episode that struck me was they didn't use the names of real drugs, right?
No, it was like the happy water.
Do you think that was deliberately done? Because it was already such a step up that to physically start listing them would have been a step too far. Like if they'd have just gone, hey, this is what do you want? Class A, which is this, Class B, which is this, or Class C, which is this.
I mean, I wouldn't have minded because I'm so anti-Scooby purist. Like, to me, this is the Scooby show that I really just want to see. And I said that while watching this, like, this is a Scooby show made for someone exactly like me that's on a nostalgia trip, that appreciates the classics but wants to see something made for people my age. Well, I say people my age, I mean, like, fun people my age, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like normal people my age that weren't raised under a rock.
I personally apologise to anybody offended by this episode.
No,
you can continue.
I just cannot believe the crap you hear people my own age saying, like, they're 80 years old. Like, Jesus Christ. But, like, no, I really like this. And I wouldn't have had a problem if they were like, oh, this is weird. But in a way, I think it was wise for them to invent their own thing.
Okay, so when they said, like, I want the strongest thing you've got, they wouldn't just be talking about weed. So that would have been a step too far, potentially.
Well, you wouldn't think it was a liquid, though, would you? If it was the strongest.
What I loved was that as soon as he mentioned, oh, it's Joy Juice, I was like, he's Flim Flam! Lots of luck, Joy Juice! And it, like, clicked, and I was like, okay, so, you know, we know Hex Girls are going to be in. It's obviously Vincent Van Gogh must be somewhere, so it's
13 Pillars
healing.
is the 13 Ghosts, right?
Yeah.
There was
exactly.
so
and
many references throughout of this. Yes. Oh, and the Minor 49 of him, the ghost.
Oh, gosh. I screamed so many times. I was like, oh, what the heck is this?
And Jonathan Jacobo.
Oh gosh, the references in this,
it was made by true Scooby fans.
It was something that you have to appreciate.
Dedication to Scooby.
You got to think about these people, these creators, like Jessica Chancellor, Dade, Elza, Chris Villain, all of that lot. And maybe there's something behind the scenes. I don't know. It looks like they just raise money, you know, to make the show. I don't know what profit they make, if any. But obviously the YouTube video is free, so think about the worst Scooby-Doo movie, your least favourite Scooby-Doo movie.
And it didn't even have adverts on it,
No, it didn't. It would cost you more to buy that DVD of like your least favourite Scooby-Doo movie than to watch this. You just need an internet connection or 4G and YouTube. And that is amazing, because you can tell the love they have for Scooby, like Ben Ravencroft reference. And
oh my gosh, yes. Oh, and they refer to him as Benjamin, though, so you kind of have to get it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, the only thing I absolutely think they missed a trick on, and I will say this, I think for all it was cool to see Minor 49er, the Black Knight Ghost, and references to Jonathan Jacobo and the Pterodactyl Ghost, I think there was a risk involved in that we've already had a live-action Minor 49er, so there's going to be people that can compare the two. We've already had a live-action Black Knight Ghost that people can compare it to. And I'm almost kind of like, it would have been, one, more interesting to see different villains, but two, better on like backlash or perception, in that you can't go, oh, well, it's embarrassing how in 2022 it looks worse than it did in Monsters Unleashed, which I'm not saying it did, but there's always that risk. I think it would have been better or wiser to choose villains that we hadn't already seen adapted to live action.
That being said, though, you could say the same thing with the... Was it Cartoon Network? I keep getting this wrong. With The Mystery Begins, it was 10 years later, but Scooby wasn't animated as well.
Yeah. But I feel like that's known, and it's a budget thing.
But surely this is too. If you're going from cinematic release, then to, you know, network release, then to fan made on YouTube to even look at competing
That's true, but
is
then
incredible in itself.
but you need Scooby, right?
And
you don't
I think
need
they did
Minor
a good
49er in
Scooby.
every live action adaptation, if that makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense, but I do think that they were making it as Scooby fans for Scooby fans
I mean, I
that
can
would appreciate
completely
the references.
Yeah, I mean, if that was their favorite villains, which I take it, they're probably going to choose the ones that mean the most to them. You can only applaud it, really.
What did everyone think to the Hex Girls?
Oh, we can start with Rhianna.
Oh gosh, starting with okay. So, okay, this was the one part I liked, but also didn't quite like. So I love the, everything about them. My issue comes with, I play guitar, I play the drums, and watching it was so painful because I was like, that's you're not. Please try and learn something to like play, because it was so clear they weren't actually playing. That's so, for me as a musician, that was painful. But I do that in every movie. Like, I watch people play violin and I'm like, you're not playing that. Like, you're not even playing on the right string. So that's like a me thing.
You, because I believe this was the case, and JayBee asked me, did they just take the music from the original? They hadn't done a cover of it, had they?
I don't think they did a cover. I know on Spotify there's a cover of it which sounded familiar, so I think they may have used that instead of taking the actual one from Warner Brothers, but I'm not 100% sure because both sound really similar.
Yeah.
But the one on Spotify has a slightly higher pitch, which this one had. But I don't think they recorded it because they also, I'm so sorry to say this, and I feel so awful because at the end of this I'm going to be doing my pitch for why they should hire me to be in like future episodes. They didn't really lip sync that too well either, but I think they did well. And I think the one thing I was missing was, where was her blonde hair?
Yes, that was my biggest issue.
Yeah,
It was like, okay, you're Thorn, but you're not stood in the middle.
Yeah.
You should be in the middle.
It's the Funko Pop.
You're clearly that one because you've got quite big hair. Where's blonde? I don't see any blonde around here. You've got dark hair. Are you meant to be that one?
The ironic thing is though is that we totally sound like purists right now. That's the thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But
you can do what you want. You have to appreciate
we do sound like purists.
Yeah, they can do what they want with Scooby-Doo and the main cast, but the Hex Girls, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would rather they made Daphne blonde.
Well, I'm not backing that.
Than did what they did to the Hex Girls. I don't care. You can dye Daphne's hair whatever you need to do.
You can't dye Daphne's hair.
I originally thought that, Daphne's friend who's blonde, she would have made a good. I think it's Luna who's blonde. I think she would have made a great one. Like, swap them over. Swap the cast over. But other than that, I really liked them. They, and especially at the end where it was like the plot twist of they were actually the one. Oh my gosh!
But are they though? Like, they were doing that, but did it then look like they trapped the ghost in their necklaces or something?
And did it sound like they gender swapped not Ben Ravencroft, Vincent Van Gogh? Because didn't they say High Priestess Van Gogh? So maybe they're gonna do like a female Vincent Van Gogh.
But Van Gogh's not bad. So if they've been sent by Van Gogh, it would be to trap them. So is their necklaces like the chest? Are they trapping them in there because you have to trap 13 ghosts in the chest?
But then did the Hex Girls, are they the ones that accidentally opened it? Because that was like the chest of demons. Only the people that unleash the demons could return the demons.
But like, we saw... Out. Oh my gosh, so okay, I'm getting excited. I'm gonna calm down. We saw Velma's mum being like, it's gone. It's clear she was talking about the book. She was the keeper of the book of demons.
Yeah, yes, and I literally was like, oh my gosh, she's talking to Vincent Van Gogh.
Doesn't the skull on the front of the book look like the one on the chest of demons?
Yes,
it does.
Yes, it does, and it also looks like the skull of Ben Ravencroft's book.
Yeah.
So what What if it was Sarah Ravencroft's book and Thorn is somehow related to Sarah Ravencroft? She's an ancestor, which is why it's up to her to capture the demons. Oh my gosh,
Sarah
this is
Ravencroft
amazing.
could be High Priestess Van Ghoul. There could be like some type of family relation, and they're gonna fuse Van Ghoul with Ravencroft, and there's gonna be a massive backstory.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, I've got goosebumps. Can I? Oh, I want to be part of this series.
It is amazing. They have done this so well. And honestly, from here, I kind of want to go to the structure JayBee was saying. Just one thing that we enjoyed the most, and one thing we want to see from the next episode. And I'm going to start with JayBee on that.
Okay, one thing that I like the most is Daphne and Daphne's character, Daphne's wardrobe.
Look, when I say Captain America, you're going to have a problem with it. So don't start with it.
Okay. Because obviously, I've been a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar since 2002. Absolutely adore Kate Melton's portrayal of Daphne, and I think that Jessica Chancellor has come into that now. You know what I mean? Like, I think Daphne's just amazing. So Daphne is the thing that I love the most in this episode, and the thing that I want to see more of is I kind of want more lore around the kind of whole thing with the Hex Girls. Not necessarily like fan service, because I can appreciate that when they did start singing the classic song, I was kind of going like crazy, like, oh my gosh, they're singing it. Like, we remember this from The Witch's Ghost, and we've literally spoken to the creator of the Hex Girls, so this is like incredible to see. But I almost want to see them transcend, like, oh, this is thrown in here because people like the Hex Girls, we're going to sing the song because people like that. I kind of want to dive into who the Hex Girls are as people. I hope it doesn't just go into, like, we're just going to sing songs and make spells. Because what I love about The Witch's Ghost more than any other Hex Girls appearance is you learned about Thorn's dad, you learned about their backstory, whereas when they came into it later on, they were really good, but holy crap. Oh, can we please have this Daphne singing the Trap of Love song from Mystery Incorporated? That's what I want to see in the future episodes. Yeah, Okay, that's it. Milly, what do you want? Because I'm fizzing.
Simp. You're a simp, JayBee.
Oh, no, look. When you can appreciate a good uncastrated dog, then you can talk to me about simping.
Oh my god!
And you need to watch the Endgame movie.
Oh, JayBee, don't you start.
Why were you looking at dogs intently, Rhianna?
JayBee.
I wasn't. It was just there, and I just messaged Milly, and then I looked up, and he jumped onto the bed, and they were there.
Oh gosh, Milly, what do you want? Tell me. What did you love? What do you want? You love me.
We'll talk about that. I would say one of the best things about this movie was the writing of the characters. I think that especially Fred's character was given a layer of development that I think it's been lacking. Like, I know when we were reviewing the live action movies before, and we said that Fred had character development, and JayBee was like, oh come on, they didn't. They literally were just like, I'm going to be less self-absorbed, whereas this was like, okay, Fred's actually gone through something here, and they aren't just following the crowd. For all their athletic, sporty, they're not just becoming like friends with the other people that actually aren't good people even slightly. They're kind of paving their own path a bit. You see them spending time with Velma, which is it kind of they're one of the characters that could normally be seen as kind of one that would be bullied rather than people spending time with them and stuff. So again, really good development there. JayBee, why is your hand up in the air?
I just wanted to point out that Dade and Jessica, obviously Fred, Daphne, are the writers of this series, at least this episode. So it's kind of like in all the community news that we've done, I've been almost tormenting people to do something within the community, and I thought, like, I was working hard with everything, but like this is just crazy, and I do admire how much that these people have done. Like, I just wanted to say that.
Do you know what? I think it's good that one of the writers plays Fred, because I do think that's why I've been able to see much more development in that character, because it is often the forgotten character. Like Daphne, we see them do martial arts. We see in the Return of the 13th Ghost where there's this amazing strong character. Velma, like, you know, everyone relies on her to know the brains and the science behind everything. Shaggy and Scooby, they're always, you know, the heart they're referred to and all that kind of thing. I think, you know, it's one of the biggest step forwards we've seen for Fred's character. So yeah, I'm very positive about that. Something I'd like to see from the next episode would be that I think for what JayBee said is interesting about the Hex Girls and stuff like that, I want to see more about Shaggy's character, because they almost ended it with a post-it note of who is Shaggy. And I feel like that almost alludes to this journey they're on of self-discovery, where they've kind of been pushed around a little bit to like pick these drugs up for other people, where it's clear they've got this talent for like hosting parties, things like that, but that their dad doesn't allow it. And I almost feel like who is Shaggy is actually like a bigger question. Not just for the police trying to work out who this name is, but also for them themselves of who they want to be. If they want to be this person that keeps getting pushed around, or if they have this other potential that we're going to learn more about.
I actually really love that. No, that's fantastic, because I do think that that's probably the direction that they're going. Like, they've asked a question at the end of episode 1, and you're going to assume that in whatever shape, even if it's surface level, like the cop finds out who Shaggy is, that's going to be answered in some capacity. And I'll say this much: if the Mystery Incorporated team don't get enough money to do this series to its completion, I say it's our responsibility as a community, even if you don't, like, you know what I mean, you need to, I think we should find a way for them to at least self-publish the other scripts or something, because I think it's definitely a story that deserves to be told. So Rhianna,
will act for them for free if they're struggling.
Apart from Scooby's bollocks, what do you want to say?
Okay, so one thing, I just went on their Indiegogo thingy, and it says that they wanted to bring like a mixture of Riverdale or Supernatural. So for me, you know, from the beginning we saw, you know, a red-eyed demon, which in Supernatural it's a yellow-eyed demon, like that we saw first. So I'm like, oh, okay. So one thing I loved that they did in this, I loved the writing, I loved the casting, I loved everything about it. I can't pinpoint just one thing that they did that I loved, because there was so much that they did that, you know, the casting I think was amazing, the writing was amazing. One thing I would like to see in a future episode. Hi, my name is Rhianna Sammet. I know I live in England, but I will happily come and act for you. I will happily be in this season, like whether it's minimal pay, free, whatever. But I am at your disposal. I can send you some headshots, send you a scene that I've done. Just reach out to me, please, because I love this so much. I love these people. Can I, like, not kidnap them in a sense, but can I, like, steal them for a day or two and try and convince them to allow me to be part of their gang?
Oh, we would love to see that too. That would be good for a future episode, it really would. And I guess, as if it wasn't obvious enough already, let's do smash or pass verdicts as always. So JayBee, Mystery Incorporated episode 1, smash or pass?
You know, I think you've just said something that's dawned upon me.
Oh no.
And it's kind of another negative aspect. I think it is a mistake on both the, I don't know, for the show's sake, as I think it deserves better, but also on, you know, everyone else's sake. I think it was a mistake to call this Mystery Incorporated, because you kind of then got to specify Mystery Incorporated fan-made or live action or animation.
Or YouTube.
Yeah, and I kind of just think it's so its own thing. It's so good that it kind of deserves more of its own identity. I don't have a better thing that I would have preferred it being called. Maybe even just Mystery Inc. Yeah, just Mystery Inc. I don't know, but I think that was a mistake. But anyway, that's besides the point. I love this cast so much. I love the story. I love the acting, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And so I would give this movie, or this show, or this series, a really, really big smash. I think that they should do so many more episodes, and I'd be there to watch every single one of them. What about you, Millie? Would you smash or pass the Mystery Incorporated series? Live action.
We don't need to specify. It's strong enough to be identified. It's okay. I would 100% agree with everything you're saying. I really want to see the next episode, and so I would say it's a smash as well. Which, of course, just leaves Rhianna. Would you say a smash or pass for Mystery Incorporated Episode 1?
I kind of gave my verdict at the beginning when I was like, I hate that I love it so much. And I hate the fact that I'm not, like, I can't be part of it. Like, oh gosh, this is just amazing. Like, it's so good. And I hate that it's so good because I'm getting major FOMO here. As a Scooby fan and an actress, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't have it both ways. And I will happily support them no matter what. And I smash it because, you know, I'm going to be watching this episode again tomorrow when I wake up. And, you know, I'm going to still scream and gasp and be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I just want to say well done to all of them because, you know, acting is one thing, but also writing, producing, direct, all of that, they're basically all doing it themselves, and that's so much work. And, you know, well done, because you did such an amazing job on episode 1. I'm not sure if they'll listen to this. If they do, I, you know, hope that they really enjoyed our review and, you know, hire me if you want to.
I think they definitely should. I would. I actually would genuinely hire you.
Who would I play though? That's the real question.
Well, here's the thing. I think that there was enough scope for voice work that you could maybe do in a home studio. Obviously, it wouldn't be the same vibe, but my kind of regret, in a way, was almost... I kind of would have liked some cameos from Scooby people, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I kind of just think we've kind of interviewed so many people that have been instrumental in Scooby. It would have been cool if they'd reached out to one of them, like, say, like C. Ernst Hoff or something Minor 49 related. I don't know. I just kind of think that would have been cool.
They could have gotten Kate to play one of like Daphne's relatives, like an aunt or something.
Oh, I'd love that. Oh, that would actually be my dream. Because, oh, yes, please. Because then if like because it's Jessica Chancellor who is the costume person for this show as well. So they could finally give Kate Melton something really lovely to wear as a Daphne character, which actually Curse of the Lake Monster then did, but you know. But I would love to see Kate Melton in this. Love to see C. Ernst Hoff do something for Minor 49er. And even Kevin Durand, if they make enough money for the Black Knight Ghost episode, could come back and kind of do something there. But yeah, honestly, bravo to anyone involved in this series, and huge thank you to everyone that donated to episode 1 for making this possible. And yeah, I just hope that we can continue to support the series. And honestly, if the creators are listening to this, obviously I do respect the purists, ultimately, because everyone deserves their own opinion. And you know what? Some of the purists were literally alive in 1969 to see the series premiere, and I wasn't. I was just some schmuck that was born in 1998, and you know what I mean? I barely remember anything from anything that wasn't the early 2000s, so... You know, and I guess I've got less of a right to speak about it then. But to the creators of the show, if you do get any negativity because of the purists that don't think Scooby should be anything more than that first Where Are You series, please do know that that is the minority, but it's just a very loud minority. And, you know, whatever you decide to do, just stick to your vision and it can't go wrong. So that's what I'll say about that. But yeah, I just think that this is amazing. And this has been a special episode of Smash or Pass. We kind of didn't know if we were doing this tonight or tomorrow. Ultimately, I kind of like goaded everyone to doing it tonight because I'm a bit mad. But at some stage, we're going to interview the Lake Monster movie, so that's probably the next thing in this core series that you're going to see. Other than that, interviews, weekly interviews at this stage. So I hope you stick around.
We recorded so many this week, but like JayBee says, we'll be releasing them weekly. So stick around for that. We're like a month ahead.
Hang around for Scooby-Doo.
Do. Ba ba da bum.